Have you ever woken up on a hiking trip in the night and you're just lying on a rock, it's uncomfortable, and you're just like, what on earth is that? Well, it's probably because you've got a bad sleeping pad, bad sleeping mat. You need to upgrade, you need to have a look at what's around. And on today's video, we are diving into the world of hiking sleeping pads and pillows. Now, these things offer both comfort and a sound night's sleep, even when you're out in the middle of nowhere. Stick around to find out how I sleep like a baby when I'm out on the trail. Hi everyone, Mauser here. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, then welcome aboard. Here we are again, diving deep into the world of hiking comforts. And we're going from the hard sleeping on the ground back in the early days of my hiking career to the luxurious sleep setups that I employ today. Now, I've been using all this gear for over 30 years, so today I'm going to share with you my sleeping pad journey and what I use today and what I'm thinking about moving to very soon. So, let's not hang around, let's jump right in. Now, before we go any further, please, if you're enjoying the video, then like the video below, hit that thumbs up, and then also hit the subscribe button if you're liking this type of content. We're doing a video every week. Hit the subscribe, then you'll be in the feed when we've got a new video. If you want to be notified when there's a new video, then just hit that little bell thing as well, and you'll be notified when a new video is released. But at the moment, we've got to get back in. We're looking at the world of sleeping pads. Now, in the early days when I was starting out my hiking career, I started out with a very basic Blue Foam mat, the Blue Foamie. Now, these were not the greatest option, but they were very cheap. You couldn't fit these things in your pack. They had to be strapped to the outside. Bits would rip off as you're walking and leave a trail of blue foam behind. They provided little to no comfort whatsoever, not to mention the lack of warmth and insulation. And speaking of warmth, well, how is that measured with a sleeping pad, with a sleeping mat? Well, it's measured by something called the R value. What is the R value, I hear you ask? What is it? What's the R value? The R value, or the thermal resistance rating, it is a material's ability to resist the transfer of heat through it. So the more a material resists heat flowing through it, the higher the R value, and therefore the warmer that product is, because you're not going to have the cold surface of the ground transferring up through the mat to you. So when you're looking at sleeping pads or sleeping mats, the one with the higher R value is the one that is going to keep you warmer. Now, probably the highest R value I have seen would be around the 7 mark. I'm sure there's higher ones, but that's the highest I've seen. We'll dive deeper into R values on another video. In the meantime, we're going to get straight back into the sleeping mats and pads. Back to the Blue Foamie, the blue pad. These things have an R value of around 1 to 1.4, which is not great. And believe it or not, you can still buy these Blue Foam mats. So if you're just starting out, it might be a possible option for you. Just remember that if you're using one of these things, they provide basically no insulation whatsoever. So you may need to layer up in your sleeping bag, putting more clothes on. If you want to learn about layering, check out this video. You can find out how to insulate yourself when things are getting colder. So I used the Blue Foamie for probably the best part of 10 years in my early hiking career in the 90s. But then at the end of 2003, I was gearing up for a big 26-day hike, my Southwest Epic, in early 2004. And that's when I bit the bullet and bought my first inflatable sleeping pad. Back then, I upgraded to this thing, the Thermarest XLite sleeping pad. This one here was a 3/4 length pad, not that big, but it was thick, with an R value of 3.8, which isn't bad, not bad when you're coming from a Blue Foamie. This thing had me covered for the entire trip. It still works well today. The kids use this, we take it on camping trips in the car. It is a good sleeping mat, and that was my first one. This thing was my comfort haven during that trip, and I used it for about the next 7 years. However, in 2011, I decided for another big trip, I wanted a full-length mat. That's when I embraced the comfort of the full-length Thermarest Prolite sleeping pad. This thing. Now, going the full-length mat, it really was a game changer for me. Having had my legs for years just sleeping on the floor of the tent, just lying on the base of the tent with a few clothes and a pack or something under them. Moving to a full-length was nice. Now, the R value on this was less. It was only 2.4 on this thing, but I was willing to sacrifice a bit of warmth to get the full-length comfort. So I used that one for the next few trips over the next few years, and I wasn't hiking as much then. But when I did come back into hiking full steam, I was on a quest for comfort, and that quest led me to the Thermarest Neoair XLite. This thing was a revelation. It is a lightweight beacon of comfort. At 480 grams, which is just over 1 pound, and an R value of 4.5, mind you, it made it my warmest sleeping pad to date and the most comfortable, and I have used it for years. Now, one of the reasons I love the Thermarest brand, you would have noticed that these are all Thermarests so far, is the fact that you get a lifetime warranty on these pads, and that is for manufacturing faults and defects. Now, this is actually my second one of these. The first one actually ended up with a tiny hole near here somewhere. Couldn't get it to fix, so I sent it back to the distributor and they replaced it straight away. You will see this is one of the older ones. The newer ones have a different valve, which you will see shortly, but that is the older Thermarest valve. Now, I've always taken a little pump with me with these things. It's the little things that matter. And that's the other thing with any of these pads, any brand basically, they are very easy to fix on the track most of the time if you spring a small leak or a small puncture. And we've been trying to find a hole in the Lilo, and he's having great difficulty, so we've had to resort to bringing him to the lake. I have had to fix many pads out on the track while we're out hiking. And the other not so common use of these things is that they can be used as a raft or a Lilo. And I know Cam from the Hiking Life blog has used these to cross rivers before. I have used this very one to float out into the lake and have a little swim. I actually lost some sunglasses off the side of this thing once, another story for another day. But they're so versatile and they're a great, great sleeping pad. Now, this size I've got here is a long. They come in long and regular most of the time, I think. Do they come in a small as well or not? And this just in, they come in a regular short, a regular wide, and a large. And that one there is a large. So the width on these things, 25 inches wide at the top. It's a mummy shape. That 25 inches, you really want that in a sleeping pad because it's just comfort factor, luxury level. I did 1 year ago invest in a smaller Thermarest Neoair XLite, this thing. Now I bought this thing just to save on weight for a big trip. Saved about 120 grams on that bigger one, and it is narrower, 20 inches, and shorter. However, I've found that due to my size, I'm 6'2", and, you know, generously proportioned, I guess, but I just found this a bit narrow. I slide off it. The kids have used it a lot, this sleeping mat, and even they tend to roll off it because it's a slipperier material than the old one, I think. Slightly slipperier. Maybe it's not all that much slipperier. It's about the same slipperiness. Anyway, the smaller one, probably not suited for me. You will see that one has the wing valve on it. Different thing, and as a result, you use a different pump. So that's sort of the core system that I have been using. Again, when it gets really cold, I do have an option for colder trips. And sticking with the theme of Thermarest, for those colder trips, we've got the Thermarest Neoair XTherm. This thing. Now this thing is slightly heavier, 530 grams, about 1.17 pounds, I think, but it just offers that extra warmth. Now this older model that I've had for a few years has an R value, very respectable 5.7 R value. But the newer models, the XTherm NXT that has just come out, has a 7.3 R rating. Can you believe that? And again, this is a long size. This is a regular long with the 25-inch width. It's nice and thick like the other ones. And it's just got, I think, some reflective material or something in there. It's got something going on to make it a bit warmer. Now, obviously, I'm a fan of the Thermarest brand. Have been for years, nearly 20 years, in fact. But I do have a couple of small gripes, a couple of small issues with these pads. The first is the noise about when you're rolling around on these things. I know that when we're in the same tent or in the same room with one of the kids sleeping on these, if we're away, we often take these traveling as well because it's handy to throw in 4 kids. There's not many hotel rooms that can accommodate us. We chuck one of these in. But when one of the kids is sleeping on one of these, they tend to roll off. They can't stay on the thing because they're slipping off to the side everywhere, and it's very noisy when they're rolling around on it. They're the two sort of things that probably annoy me a bit about these is just that slipperiness factor. You don't want to be sliding off your mat when you're in your tent, which I can do sometimes, and you just don't want that noise, especially in an enclosed environment. You don't want all that rustling noise when you're rolling around the sleeping bag at night. It's a bit annoying. So that is one reason I have recently been looking at some newer options of mats, and a couple that have caught my eye that I've been looking at. Haven't bitten the bullet yet, but one of them is the Big Agnes Zoom UL, not quite as warm, and another one is the Big Agnes Rapide SL, I think. Yeah, the Big Agnes Rapide SL. So I haven't made a decision on those yet. If you're using them, I'd love to hear from you what you think of them. The Rapide is a little bit warmer, so maybe I'll go that way. Don't know yet, haven't made a decision. But of course, if I do switch over, the moment I've tested it out, I'll let you guys know and let you know what I think. Now, moving on, like I've said before, I love a bit of luxury, love a bit of comfort when I'm hiking. While I do try to watch the weight of my pack, there are a couple of essentials that I have to take with me, and one of them for 20 years has been a pillow. Now, I know you can stuff clothes into a stuff sack and make a pillow or make a pile of clothes. It doesn't cut the mustard for me. I need a pillow. I need a bit of neck support. I'm getting a bit older. I love a bit of neck support. I love a bit of comfort and just getting onto my pillow at the end of a long day. So what am I using in terms of pillows? Well, this one here, that's an old school, 20 years old, a Roman brand that was called Roman. That came with me on a 26-day epic hike, that big hike, Southwest Tassie. That pillow came, still going strong. Been through the wash a few times, smelling good. But that doesn't come anymore. That's a foamy pillow. I then upgraded to one of the Thermarest. These are a popular one still today, which is like clumps of shredded up foam inside them. It's a good option. It's a nice comfy pillow. The only reason I don't take that anymore is just it's bulky. It packs down to not much smaller than that, to be honest. You can get it in the sleeping bag, but it gets down to about that. And when you're trying to pack light and trying to make room in your pack, not cutting the mustard, so that doesn't come anymore either. I then also did try things like the Cedar Summit inflatable pillows. Not too bad. Got a few of these, the kids use these as well, but they're not a bad option. I just didn't find it that comfy, and you're floating around on air, so wasn't sold on that, so don't use that one either. The one I have been using for the last sort of 5 years is one called the Nemo Fillo pillow, this one. And that has been a good one. You can take that bladder out on the inside, the inflatable bladder. It inflates down to a very small little package. There's an integrated little stuff sack, and there you go. Nice fabric pillowcase on it. So you can take the bladder out, wash the pillowcase, and it packs down to nothing. Weight is on the screen there, and that is it. That is the Nemo Fillo pillow, and that is the one I'm using currently. This is just still having a little sleep in over there. He looks pretty comfy right now. Now, I have received another pillow to test. I will let you know about that once I have checked it out. It's an inflatable one again with baffles and everything, so you don't get that air movement. We're going to give that a go on the next trip we're going. We'll let you know how that goes, and I'll tell you what that one is then. But in the meantime, that is my favourite pillow that I've had, the Nemo Fillo pillow. I normally put that on top of a jacket or something like this. Sit that on top of there. Great comfort level, and that is the one I'm taking now. Now, like I said a minute ago, I do also take a pump for my sleeping pad. That's another luxury, but it is a nice thing to have. I have traditionally taken the Thermarest brand of pumps, but we recently got a flex tail pump. You've seen them advertised everywhere. This one, it's not much more weight than these. It's very minimal difference, but the beauty of this thing is that it also has a light. So I normally take a Goal Zero lantern to hang in the tent. I will take this instead now, and the pump, and that will double as a pump and a lantern, and it can be charged off my battery. That is the one I'll be taking on that. We'll do a more extensive deep dive on the pumps later, but that is what I'm taking now for my Thermarest, my sleeping pad pump, and good little unit there. So there you have it. That is what I'm using currently. So we're normally taking this Big Daddy, the Neoair XLite. They've just released the NXT. By all means, it's a great mat. I love it. Just got those couple of minor issues. I may switch. I'll let you know if I do. But if you think you're getting one, look, you can't go wrong with them, really. But do your research. Have a look around. Try a few out in your hiking store. Go into the hiking store, check them out. There's a huge range of sleeping pads out now. I'd love to hear what you're using. What are you using for your sleeping pad? Have you got any recommendations? Leave them in the comments below. Let's get a conversation happening about who's using what. are using a blue foam mat, perhaps still. You're still on that train? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your experiences. Now, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. In the meantime, check this video out where I go through a bit more gear. Get down below in the comments and also sign up to the newsletter. Got a newsletter happening. Check it out. We've got merch on the way. We've got merch happening. Mauser merch is coming. It's happening. The links are below. Check all that good stuff out, and I'll see you on the next one. It is late here. I've got to go and get some dinner ready for the kids because they're all sitting out there banging their plates. They're hungry. They want to eat. Check the video out. I'll see you soon, and yeah, have a good day. Great to hear from you. Bye-bye.